Samjena Bhutale Mayam Rupagada Mayam Dadatti Swapadantikam Vandeham Sri Guru Sri Juta Parakamalam Sri Gurun Vaishnavamscha Sri Rupam Sagrajatham Sahagana Ragana Dhanvitam Tham Sajivam Shodvaitam Svabadudam Padijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Sri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Sri Vishakam Vitangscha He Krishna Karuna Sindho Dinabando Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Vanchaka Pachu Vischa Kripa Sindhu Bevacha Patitanam Bhavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Jaya Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhara Sivasari Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
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 Narayanam Namaskritya Naram Chaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayamudiraye Nasta Preshu Abhadreshu Nityam Bhagavat Shevaya Bhagavad Yutama Shloke Bhakti Bhavati Naistiki. Today is Thursday, February 12th, the holy day of Sri Ekadasi. We are reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 5, The Creative Impetus, Chapter 1, The Activities of Maharaja Priyabhata. Text number 24, which is in irregular prosaic form. So I'll just chant that myself. Tata duhitaram prajapater vishvakarmana upayeme barhishmatim namatasyam uhavava atmajanatmasamana shila gunakarma rupa virodharandasa bhavya Bhavayam Bahuva Kanyam Cha Yavi Yashim Ujaswatim Nama. Please repeat on the synonyms. Ata, thereafter. Cha, also. Duhitaram, the daughter. Prajapatehi, of one of the Prajapatis. Entrusted with increasing population. Vishvakarmanaha, named Vishvakarma. Upayeme, married. Barhishmati, Nama, named. Tasyam, in her. Uha, as it is celebrated. Bhava, wonderful. Atmajan, sons. Atmasamana, exactly equal to him. Shila, character. Guna, quality. Karma, activities. Rupa, beauty. Virya, prowess. Udaran, whose magnanimity. Dasha, 10. Bhavayam, Bahuva, he begot. Kanyam, daughter. Cha, also. Yaviyashim, the youngest of all. Urjaswati, Nama, named. Translation. Thereafter, Maharaj Priyabrata married Barhishmati, the daughter of the Prajapati named Vishvakarma. In her he begot 10 sons, equal to him in beauty, character, magnanimity, and other qualities. He also begot a daughter, the youngest of all, named Urja Swati. Purport by His Divine Grace, Srila Prabhupada. Maharaj Priyavrata not only carried out the order of Lord Brahma by accepting the duties of government, but he also married Bahirshmati, the daughter of Vishwakarma, one of the Prajapatis. Since Maharaj Priyavrata was fully trained in transcendental knowledge, he could have returned home and conducted the business of government as a brahmachari. Instead, however, when he returned to household life, he accepted a wife also. The principle is that when one becomes a grihastha, he must live perfectly in that order, which means he must live peacefully with a wife and children. When Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's first wife died, his mother requested him to marry for a second time. He was 20 years old and was going to take sannyas at the age of 24. Yet, by the request of his mother, he married. As long as I am in household life, he told his mother, I must have a wife, for household life does not mean staying in a house. Real household life means living in a house with a wife. 3 words in this verse are very significant. Uha bhava. These words are used to express wonder. Priyavrata Maharaj had taken a vow of renunciation, but accepting a wife and begetting children have nothing to do with the path of renunciation. These are activities on the path of enjoyment. It was a source of great wonder, therefore, that Priyavrata Maharaj, who had followed the path of renunciation, had now accepted the path of enjoyment. And Parikshit Maharaj was astonished, actually. And therefore he was asking Shukadeva Goswami about this. And then Prabhupada writes, sometimes we are criticized because, although I am a sannyasi, I have taken part in the marriage ceremonies of my disciples. It must be explained, however, that since we have started a Krishna-conscious society, and since human society also must have ideal marriages, to correctly establish an ideal society, we must take part in marrying some of its members, although we have taken to the path of renunciation. This may be astonishing to persons who are not very interested in establishing Daiva Varna Ashrama, the transcendental system of 4 social orders and 4 spiritual orders. Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur, however, wanted to re-establish Daiva Varna Ashram. In Daiva Varna Ashram, there cannot be acknowledgement of social status according to birthright. Because in Bhagavad Gita, it is said that the determining considerations are guna and karma, one's qualities and work. It is this Daiva Varnashram that should be established all over the world to continue a perfect society for Krishna consciousness. This may be astonishing to foolish critics, but it is one of the functions of a Krishna conscious society. Thereafter, Maharaj Priyavrata married Varhishmati, the daughter of the Prajapati named Vishwakarma. In her he begot 10 sons equal to him in beauty, character, magnanimity, and other qualities. He also begot a daughter, the youngest of all, named Udurja Swati. Mukum karoti bachalam hangam ragayate girim jadkripa tamaham vande siguro dinatarinam. Who knows anything about Vishwakarma?
He's the architect.
Yes, he is the architect of the demigods. He knows how to build cool buildings.
Partial incarnation of Joe.
Her Joe is a partial incarnation of him.
I hope that's what I meant.
Yes. So he's the architect of city of Dwarka, for example. which is still existing beneath the waves of the ocean in the Arabian Sea there. Although they have an architecture department of the government in India that studies. They take dives and they're investigating the city of Dwarka. And yes, it was Krishna's city, Dwarka, off the coast of Gujarat there, 5,000 years ago. Been since covered by the waves. But the stones and structures are still existing, and it is a great wonder. Yeah, great architectural wonder. How could they do that 5,000 years ago? We couldn't even build something like that now.
He also built that thing for the pyramids.
Yeah, that's right. So he's real, the general contractor of the demigods and architect. Quite a personality. So his daughter was Barhishmati, was married to Maharaj Priyavrata. And so why didn't Maharaj Priyavrata just, after receiving the instruction of Swayambhuva Manu, his father, and the reinforcing authority of the appearance of Lord Brahma to ask him to carry out that instruction, why didn't he just, okay, I'll just manage the universe, but since I'm already Brahmachari, then I won't get married. But that's part of the deal. You know, you get the big management position, and you got a wife, you got kids, you got a big palace. So Prabhupada makes the point here, almost tongue-in-cheek, that you know, one doesn't become a grihastha just by living in a griha, a house. Oh, I'm living in a griha, therefore I'm a grihastha. No, he has to live with the wife. And Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu reinforced this concept. He could have also just stayed at home after his wife disappeared, but Mother Sachi was entreating him to accept another wife. And the Chaitanya Mahaprabhu said, yes, just living in a house doesn't make one a grihastha. There has to be wife also. So, therefore, he accepted another wife, even though Prabhupada points out in this purport, he was 21 years old at the time and was soon to accept the sannyas order in just a few years. So why bother to get married? But he did that to show an example and to also to follow the instructions of his mother. He accepted the order of his mother. So that is the example of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Although he is the independent personality of Godhead, and he is not bound by any rules or regulations. He's the creator of the rules and regulations. He is above the rules and regulations. Yet still, he acted according to the conventions of social etiquette in order to set a good example. So he was a really responsible, or a stand-up responsible citizen, you could say. But still, we have to understand that he's the independent personality of Godhead, and he can do as he likes. There's two qualities of the Lord that are mentioned in the Bhagavatam. He's Abhigya and Swarat. Abhigya means he knows everything. The word Gya from Jnana, this word Gya means knowing. Abhigya, he knows everything. There's nothing not known to him. And Swarat, he's fully independent. So he knows everything, he can do everything, he can act as he likes. But still, he acts in certain ways as to give direction to human society, how to act properly. And that's mentioned in Bhagavad Gita, yad yad acharati shreshtas tatareva tarao janaha. That whatever the great personalities do, then the common people, they see that and they follow in their footsteps. So whatever actions he performs, he sets an example, and that example by that great personality is pursued by the whole world. So unfortunately, in modern times in which the Vedic culture has been thrown to the wayside, those who are shreshtas, or leaders, leading people in society, are like movie stars and athletes and other people who are not well cultured or spiritually educated people, and they do all kinds of crazy nonsense things. And all the world pursues. We see that. Great political leaders. Everyone thinks, well, he's a rascal, so I am a rascal also. Therefore, it is bona fide. I'm a bona fide rascal because the leader is a rascal, and I'm just following him. So whatever these crazy people do, crazy in one sense that they think that their body and that the goal of life is to enjoy the senses. So that's crazy. How do we know that's crazy? Why do we think that's crazy? Because Lord Rishabdev says, Nunam pramata kurute vikarma yad indriya pritiya apranoti. That people become mad after trying to enjoy the senses. Nunam pramata kurute vikarma, performing forbidden activities that are not sanctioned in the civilized codes of the Vedas. But they just do any damn thing and every damn thing. Therefore, he also says in that same verse, Nasadhu manye yata atmanoyam. I don't think it's befitting an intelligent person to engage himself in these activities, these vikarma, forbidden activities, or even ordinary sense gratification, because the result of that is that one perpetually gets one body after another and suffers. Asana piklesha da asa deha. So this is transcendental knowledge given by the Supreme Lord in his appearance as Lord Rishabdev. And it is a guidepost for human society. Follow the teachings of the Lord. Dharmam tu shakshat bhagavat pranitam navaibado rishya napi deva. That the real understanding of religion, the real religious principles which should guide one in life, are those dharman tu shakshat bhagavat, those which are given by the Lord. So that is to be accepted. The instructions given by the Lord, the philosophy given by the Lord, that is to be accepted. And other things, the quote philosophy, the philosophy of hedonism is not really a philosophy. It's not really philosophy. It's just wanton pursuit of sense gratification. So is that philosophy? That's not philosophy. That's just animal behavior, very fallen, not according to the codes of religion. Is that a philosophy? Someone says, well, my philosophy, people talk an ordinary thing, they're drinking their beer, smoking their cigarette, they're injecting some drug. My philosophy is, I'm a follower of Charvaka Muni, who said that whatever you do, beg, borrow, or steal, but whatever you do, get ghee. Ghee is very high class, very nice. So get ghee. Whatever you have to do, kill somebody, step on their head, kick them in the face, that's all right, just get ghee. And Prabhupada, of course, quotes the British maxim, eat, drink, and be merry, for tomorrow we may die. Of course, euphemistically speaking, tomorrow, yes, everyone dies. There comes a day, there is one day, the last day of one's life, and then the next day one dies. That tomorrow is coming for everyone. There's no discrimination or distinction there. Like that Led Zeppelin song, your time is gonna come. So what's the first part? I love quoting that song. Lying, cheating, hurting, that's all you seem to do. Describing the selfish person who's just pursuing their own sense gratification at the expense of anyone and everyone, just to get what they want, and forget about everybody else. Just step on their head, crush their feelings, take their money, take their possessions, steal everything. What was that Greg Allman saying in that song, Whipping Post? Took all my money, wrecked my new car. So, and he's saying, sometimes I feel like I've been tied to the whipping post. Good Lord, I feel like I'm dying. So that is the position of the living entity, caught up in the modes of nature and acting in all kinds of pramata, mad ways, just to satisfy the senses. But the result of that, okay, then you have to take another body again and again and again, and you don't know what that next body will be. You don't know. People have no idea. People even have no idea that there is a next body. What to speak of knowing what that body may be, but if one is sinful, if one acts in sinful ways, then that body will not be auspicious. And one has to suffer. So there's no guarantee even that one has the human form of life, except for one who begins to execute Krishna consciousness. Swapamapyasya dharmasya. Trayate mahato bhayat. Even a little bit of Krishna consciousness performed will save one from the mahato bhayat, the mahabhaya, the great fear. That great fear is not taking a human form, but taking an animal form, becoming a monkey or an aardvark, or I saw the other day in the street a coyote. See them sometimes in the neighborhood, wandering around looking for something to eat in a very fearful and furtive way, because he knows that the human beings aren't particularly affectionate towards him, and neither are the other dogs in the neighborhood particularly affectionate toward him. And he's wandering around, and he sees somebody, and he goes the other way. If he saw me, he went the other way, but he went the wrong way. He went down the driveway, and there's other dogs there. They started barking, so he said, "Oh, not this. Let me go back to where I was. Go back to the street there." Poor guy. He's just trying to find something to eat somehow, something out of a garbage can somewhere, or some remnants left. That the elevated human beings in this neighborhood, they like throw their Burger King bags and stuff on the street. There's stuff left in it, and so the coyote can find that and get him he can have it his way. Have it your way. Anyways, anyway, I'll take it any way I could get it. That's what he's thinking. So one doesn't want to fall from at least the human form, but really one should aspire to go back home, back to Godhead, and not take any other kind of birth again, which Krishna guarantees one the ability to do if he just makes Krishna his goal of life and tries to understand Janma Karma, Jame Divyam, Krishna's transcendental appearance, his activities. And then knowing this, then Chaktva Deham Purnar Janma, one does not take another birth. Naiti Mam Iti Sarjana. That's it. You come back to Krishna. So that is the real goal for a human being. And Prabhupada dives here into a exposition of Varnashram Dharma. And he mentions that, he's a sannyasi, and he does what in the history of sannyasis generally not done, and that's take part in the marriage, marrying his disciples, marrying them off to one another. And he did that. But he did it for a while and then he stopped. He stopped performing marriages. He said, I cannot take the responsibility anymore. You do it on your own. You go ahead. You take the risk. You do whatever you're going to do. Because many of the marriages were not remaining together. So Prabhupada said, you Westerners, therefore, back in the day, in our Los Angeles temple, which is known as New Dwarka, the big community of devotees, many had gotten married and divorced, and it got the nickname New Divorska instead of New Dwarka. Did you hear that name? Yes, she smiled. You live there, right?
I don't remember hearing that. I just remember the property manager was Dhirodatta, who said we should just take the buildings and shake them every month because everybody wanted to switch.
Rajendranath?
Yeah.
Yeah, I know Rajendranath. He was the accountant on the Radha Damodar party. So, and a Mahabharat enthusiast to the maximum degree. He knew every Leela from Mahabharat. I don't know if you knew that about Rajendranath. The Mahabharat fanatic. So it was fun to hear him speak about different pastimes. He'd memorized everything. So, Prabhupada mentions that and gets into this little discussion about Varnashram Dharma, and he specifically is talking about Daiva Varnashram Dharma. Daiva Varnashram is beyond regular Varnashram Dharma. Although in the conversation between, Ramananda Roy and Lord Chaitanya in the Madhya Lila, chapter 8 of Chaitanya Charitamrita, this comes up in the beginning of their discussion. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is trying to elicit from Ramananda Roy the highest esoteric truths, which they end up arriving at. But first, Ramananda starts off with just basic understanding. And he quotes this verse, that Varnashrama Charvata Purushena Parak Puman Vishnur Arajate Panta Nanyata Toshakaranam. And that this verse is quoted and given here in the Madhya Lila, chapter 8, text number 58. The Supreme Personality of Godhead, Lord Vishnu, is worshipped by the proper execution of prescribed duties in the system of Varna and Ashram. There is no other way to satisfy the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Oh, really? There's no other way. Nanyat tat tosha karanam. One must be situated in the institution of 4 varnas and ashramas. And Srila Prabhupada gives us a very wonderful purport. This is a quotation from the Vishnu Purana 389. As stated by Srila Bhakti Vinod Thakur in his Amrita Pravaha Bhasya. Who knows what is the Amrita Pravaha Bhasya? That's the commentary on Chaitanya Charitamrita. Bhasya means commentary. The Amrita Pravaha Bhasya is Bhakti Vinod Thakur's commentary on Chaitanya Charitamrita. Prabhupada consulted that and followed that closely in preparing his own purports to the Chaitanya Charitamrita. And there's another commentary. Who knows what the other commentary is that he quotes a lot? It's called the Anubhasya by Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur. So both Bhakti Vinod Thakur and Siddhanta Saraswati commented on Chaitanya Charitamrita, wrote nice commentaries. So, quoting from Bhakti Vinod Thakur, the purport is that one can realize life's perfection simply by satisfying the Supreme Personality of Godhead. This is also confirmed in Srimad Bhagavatam from the 2nd chapter, 13th shloka of the Bhagavatam. Atak pungbir dvijashrestha varnashrama vibhagashaha vanustitasya dharmasya sangsidhir haritoshanam. O best among the twice born, it is therefore concluded that the highest perfection one can achieve by discharging the duties prescribed for one's own occupation according to caste divisions and orders of life is to please the personality of Godhead. Sang Siddhir Haritoshanam. That perfection, that siddhi, not just siddhi, but sang siddhi, complete perfection. Haritoshanam, the satisfaction of the Supreme Lord, Hari. So that is the real inner meaning of that Vishnu Rajyate Pantha Nanya Tashakaranam Varnashram verse from Vishnu Purana, which states that the only way to please the Lord is by engaging in the institution of Varna and Ashrama. But the deeper level of understanding is that one doesn't just engage in Varnashram, but one performs his duties within Varnashram for the express and explicit purpose of satisfying Krishna. Every man should perform his occupational duty in the light of his particular tendency, according to his abilities. One should accept a position in the Varnashram institution. The divisions of Brahmana, Kshatriya, Vaishya, and Shudra are natural divisions within society. Indeed, everyone has a prescribed duty according to the Varnashram Dharma. Those who properly execute their prescribed duties live peacefully and are not disturbed by material conditions. The spiritual orders, Brahmacharya, Grihastha, Vanaprastha, and Sannyas, are called ashramas. If one executes his prescribed duty in both the social and spiritual orders, the Supreme Personality of Godhead is satisfied. If one neglects his duties, however, he becomes a transgressor and a candidate for a hellish condition. Actually, we see that different people are engaged in different ways. Therefore, there must be divisions according to work. To attain perfection, one must make devotional service the center of his life. And this is the significant statement, that in order to attain perfection, one must make devotional service the center of his life. So at least those of us who are present here, we can understand the significance of this statement, that regardless of Varna or Ashrama, that we have to make devotional service the center of our lives. And if we do that, then that is our perfection. And then one can go back home, back to Godhead. Someone's bringing in the compost can. Usually it's left out and I have to bring it in after breakfast. So who's ever doing that, thank you very much. I don't know, I have to find out who that is. And Prabhupada continues, in this way one can awaken his natural instincts by work, association, and education. What are those natural instincts? The instincts to serve Krishna, the instinct of the soul, the natural tendency, proclivity of the spirit soul is to serve Krishna. And that becomes awakened by making devotional service the center of one's life. Very nice instructions here. Incredible instructions. One should accept the Varnashram divisions by qualification, not by birth. Unless this system is introduced, human activities cannot be systematically executed. So the requirement is there for the systematic execution of human activities. And therefore the Varnashram system is given. Who gave it? Where is it given? Chatur Varnyam Maya Shrishtam Guna Karma Vibhagasha. Krishna says, I created it. It's created by me, Krishna says. Oh, okay. In that case, then all right. Since it's created by God and given to human society for the proper smooth functioning of society, oh, well, then we can accept that because it's God-given. So Prabhupada goes on here. We'll read a little bit more. The Brahmanas are the intellectuals who can understand the Supreme Personality of Godhead. They are always engaged in the cultivation of knowledge. It does not matter whether one is born in India or outside India. Those who are naturally very heroic and who tend to rule over others are called Kshatriyas. Those who tend to produce food by agricultural methods, protect cows and other animals, and engage in trade are called Vaishyas, or merchants. Those who are not sufficiently intelligent to be Brahmanas, Kshatriyas, or Vaishyas are required to serve a master, and they're called Shudras. Thus, everyone can engage in the service of the Lord and awaken his natural Krishna consciousness. If a society does not function according to such natural divisions, the social orders become degraded. The conclusion is that the scientific method of Varnashrama Dharma should be adopted by society. And that's the end of that purport to the Varnashrama Charvata Purushena Parak Brahman verse, quoted by Ramananda Roy to Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So, the next verse, Prabhu Kahi, the Lord says to Ramananda, this is external. You had better tell me of some other means. So this is the beginning of this great question and answer session, which is so wonderful and revealing of the esoteric truths of Krishna consciousness. Ramananda Roy starts out at the beginning, gradual, first of Varnashram. Yeah, that Lord Chaitanya said, no. That's just external. What's better than that? What's beyond that? And the next thing Ramananda says is to offer the results of one's activities to Krishna is the essence of all perfection. And again, what does Lord Chaitanya say to that? Which that's pretty good, okay? Offer the results. You know, Bhagavad Gita, Yad Karoshi Yadashanchi Yad Jahosi Dadasi Yad Tapasyasya Kauntaya Tad Karusha Mararpanam. Whatever you eat, whatever you offer, whatever austerities you perform, whatever charity you give, do that. Tad Karusha Mararpanam. Do that as an offering unto me. So what's wrong with that, right? That's pure Bhagavad Gita. And then that verse that I just quoted is quoted by Ramananda. So this is a very fascinating discussion. And then after that, the Lord says, Eho bhai, agi kara. That is also external. Eho bhai. Speak further on the matter. Give more understanding. So this conversation continues until it arrives at the stage of love of Godhead, and then he proceeds through the various rasas that is possible for the spirit soul to have with Krishna. Shantaras, Dasyaras, Sakya is next, then Vatsalya, then Madhurya. So he discusses those various rasas, and then finally comes to the point of talking about Madhurya rasa, which is the highest of all. And then he begins to talk about the love of Radharani for Krishna. And Radharani, of all the Madhurya rasis, she is the supreme. She is the supreme lover of Krishna. She knows how to please Krishna the best. She loves Krishna the most. Everything about her, the way she looks, the way she dresses, the way she thinks, is completely focused on pleasing Krishna. That is her only mission. That is her only goal. That's called Mahabhava. It is the highest pitch of ecstasy in love of Godhead. And so Ramananda begins to talk about the love of Radha for Krishna. And then finally, Lord Chaitanya reaches over and puts his hand over Ramananda's mouth. and says, okay, that's enough. Because he knows it's going in the book. It's a confidential conversation, but it's being recorded. So don't talk anymore. That's as much as we're going to talk about the ecstasy of Radharani's love for Krishna. That we won't talk anymore in front of the whole world. But amazingly, this whole discussion is given to the world. Just like Bhagavad Gita is given to the world for the benefit of all humanity. And then going way beyond, you come to this discussion of Ramananda Roy and Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So it's a great subject matter and science of Krishna consciousness. But if we just catch on to this one idea that Prabhupada has given us in the previous purport, that the perfection of one's life is to make devotional service the center of one's life, and then one can achieve everything, and doesn't have to worry about this or that or whatever else is going on in life in the world. One simply has to, and life's pretty rough, right? Isn't it? Is it? Anyone disagree? Does anyone not have experience that life is not rough? Chandrika, you have any experience that life is not rough? No, it's rough. And no one's exempt. The thing is, no one gets a free ride. There is no one, not even the, super famous, super rich, who can have anything and everything they want. They're not free from suffering.
They're the most miserable of all.
Generally speaking, that's a fact. Although, what was it? Bob Dylan, if you ain't got nothing, you got nothing to lose. So that's mentioned by Krishna, that he belongs to those who don't have anything. Tvam akinchana gotram, janmaisraya shrutashribir, edamanak manakuman, naivahar abidatumbai, tvam akinchana gotram. Akinchana means you got nothing. So if you don't have anything, and then you're just trying to grasp onto Krishna's lotus feet, then you're qualified. You can get the mercy. And not those who are attempting to improve themselves by janma, good birth, aishvarya, wealth, opulence, shruta, learning, shibir, bodily beauty. Everyone is trying to possess or achieve these things. And even if someone is very ugly, they're trying all different ways to make themselves beautiful with the makeup and the special this and the special dress and the perfect, girdle that squeezes one into a certain shape or whatever. And everyone's trying to make themselves beautiful, even if they're not beautiful. But they can never get Krishna as long as they're pursuing those things. But Twama Kinchana Gotram, those who have nothing, they can actually possess Krishna, who is above and beyond possession by anyone or everyone. Still, they can conquer Krishna, who is unconquerable. All right, so we stop here. Questions, comments, realizations? Microphone is just now coming.
Well, in the 12th canto, they talk about how horrible Kali Yuga is. But then they said, but we have the Mahamantra, and we can go back to Godhead.
That's Kaler Dosha Hey Rajam, Aseko Mahanguna, Kirtana Deva Krishnasya, Mukta Sangha Paramvaja. That despite all the things, the faults, Kaler Dosha Hey Rajan, the ocean of faults that is Kali Yuga. Kaler Dosha Hey Rajan, Aseko Mahanguna. There's one really fantastic thing, Mahaguna, one great quality. Kirtana Deva Krishnasya, just by chanting Hare Krishna, Mukta Sangha, parambrajet. You become freed from all bad association, which is everywhere, spread like a disease all over the planet. Mukta Sangha parambrajet. Become free from all bad association. And parambrajet. Go back to Krishna. That's the special quality of this age. Mahanguna, that one can just chant Hare Krishna and achieve perfection. Sooner or later. Depends on your sincerity and your determination to become Krishna conscious. All right, anyone else?
And you mentioned earlier about, sometimes you get people that, like take from people, like steal their money and things like that. So if somebody has that propensity strategically to do something like that, and they decide to become a devotee because they think, oh, I can, if I'm chanting Hare Krishna and following to a certain extent, that won't affect me karmically or in my next life. So if they start to do that and steal from a devotee that is doing devotional service, but they think they're going to get away with it because they're just, masking themselves as a devotee. So what kind of reaction would they get, or do they think they're not going to get any?
They get the Led Zeppelin. Your time is gonna come, baby, baby. So yeah, one has to be very careful.
You have to stop your activity. Then
Yes, that's what being very careful means. Not committing offenses. To be very careful, not to commit offenses. But still, Krishna accepts everyone's attempts to serve him, and although they may not be perfect, then if one doesn't complete the course of one's Krishna consciousness, one gets further opportunities. If one is properly situated in Krishna consciousness. And if one is not, well, to quote another song, you can go your own way. No. Yeah, you can go your own way, but I don't want to go that way. You can go your own way, but I don't want to go your way. You want to go Krishna's way. And no one is responsible for, no one can impede your Krishna consciousness. No one is responsible for that. You may blame, someone did something and it messed me up, it messed up my Krishna consciousness. No, you're responsible for your own Krishna consciousness. You are. So, like Harry Truman said, the buck stops here. He had a sign on his desk, President of the United States. People always passing the buck, or kicking, as they say, kicking the can down the road. Harry Truman was, the buck stops here. So the buck does stop with us. We can't blame it. Oh, they did this. Oh, they did that. They said this. Can you believe they treated me? It's actually between you and Krishna, and how you deal with it. Those who patiently go on suffering the results of their own previous activities, but meanwhile, from within their heart, Hridvagva Burvir Viridhan Namaste, offer obeisances to Krishna from the core of their heart, then they get the mercy. Jiveta yo mukti pade sadhaya bhak. They get to go back to Godhead because it has become their rightful claim. By that patiently, tolerantly suffering as Shakespeare says, the slings and arrows of outrageous fortune, is nicely explained, getting kicked by karma. The slings and arrows one suffers the slings and arrows of outrageous fortune. Fortune is outrageous to everybody. That's Maya's business. That's to just give everybody outrageous suffering. But one who goes on patiently, doing their service, hearing, chanting, serving, and within the core of their heart, offering their obeisances to Krishna, thinking, well, I probably should have suffered a lot worse for what I've done. But Krishna just given me a token reaction, so thank you, Lord, and let me go on serving you. And then they get to go back home, back to Godhead. Not those who play the blame game. Krishna, why have you done this to me? I've many times felt that way. Krishna, why are you doing this to me? And the answer is, actually, you're doing it to yourself. But, don't blame Krishna. He's not making you be a rascal. He's asking you to stop being a rascal. Imagine that. Please, give up your rascalism and just surrender to me. And we may do a little of that, we may do a little of this, and we may do a little of the other, this, that, and the other. But oops, that's not what we should be doing. We shouldn't go our own way. We should go Krishna's own way. All right. I hope you didn't mind that answer. And we'll stop here. Srila Prabhupada ki jai.